mind is wanting to buzz around, just gently say, I love you. Slow down. Slow down. For it is here, in this now moment, that we experience that profound love, that divine light, the soft whispered words, the knowingness that we are one with the one with the one with each other, one with all that is. And in this knowingness, this allowing, this relaxing, we let go of judgment. Let go of fear, of concern. Allowing joy. Allow the words joy. Joy of God. Breathe even deeper in the word peace. Peace that passes all my conscious understanding. The divine peace, the trust. I am trusting in this divine presence. This precious God and Spirit of my understanding is all intelligence, is all the answers to whatever is happening within me. And I support that awareness for the people that I love, for my family, for my friends, for my coworkers. I know this divine peace. I know this oneness. I reach out to those who feel unloved, who do not know that they are God's precious child, that they are one with the one, that wholeness is within them. We hold that. For those that are wandering homeless, for those that are fighting, that are striking out against others. Oh, Spirit, in this moment, we support that divine light. We allow that peace that is the truth of who we are to permeate our experience. We are the peace that heals the world. And so let us move down into that silent connection, knowing, experiencing the awareness of one in the silence. Gently, as you are ready, bring your conscious awareness to this now moment, holding that knowingness, that divine spirit that is the truth of who you are. Bringing it here to this present moment, remembering wherever we are, that divine God is as close as my breathing. And we say, thank you, Spirit. We thank you for light, for joy, for love, for wholeness, for the blessings beyond our conscious awareness. For this we give our grateful thanks. Amen. Amen. So good morning again. It's the third or fourth time. I'd have everybody here. When I sit in the front of the church, I don't get to see who all comes in behind me. Very, very glad to see everybody today. So today concludes a series that we have been doing on the 4 agreements. And last week we talked about not taking it personally. Anybody practice that this week? Not taking it personally? And what did you find out? What did you find out, Mom?
I found out that my mind was becoming much calmer.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. You know, so these are very practical tools that we are working with. So we began with how did we become who we are? So we began with our domestication and our socialization, and this is the water that we swim in, and to become aware of that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but to be aware of it. This is how I'm seeing things. This is how I'm interpreting things. And then we went on to think about our word. Be impeccable with your word, which is an absolute underpinning of unity, that our words have tremendous power. And so to pay attention, and what am I saying, and how am I saying that? And then we moved in last week to not taking it personally. And then this week we're going to be looking at don't make assumptions and to always do our best. And realize that even though we talk about them separately, they are all part of the same process. That being impeccable with our word begins to help us with not taking things personally and becoming aware of when we're making inappropriate assumptions. Because as I'm going to share with you, there are some assumptions that we want to be making, or to be aware of those that get us into trouble. And one of the things, this is always an absolute delight when I sit down to work on a talk and begin to think about it and what's happening in my world that gives me fodder. So I'm not a big Facebook person. Every 2 or 3 weeks, or if I know, my daughter has put pictures on, I'll go on. Well, I hadn't been on for a while, and I got a phone call the other morning, and it was Meg Tilden, and she had something else to tell me, but she said, you do know that SCOTUS passed the Marriage Equality Act, and I said, no, I didn't. Well, when my Facebook gets fun, it's when something like that has happened. So, I went on and I'm listening to, I've got all my friends are liberal and all, listening to all these comments, and then I get to hear the other side because, of course, they're going to put up some comments. But listening to the assumptions, I invite you to do that. I invite you to do that when you're listening to the news. What are the assumptions that the people who are bringing us that news are maybe making about who we are, their audience, and what we're interested in? What assumptions are we making about them and maybe about the story that we're hearing? So we begin to become aware of this world works on assumptions. Here's a quote I also came across in just a day or so ago. Only very secure people are able to think non-adversarially. Secure people, non-adversarially. Which simply says, secure people are not defensive. Think about that. Secure people are not defensive. That doesn't mean that at times you don't defend yourself, but there's a difference between, you know, here's somebody who's totally misunderstood me, and I make an explanation. But in a lot of times, if somebody out there is really wanting to attack my position, whatever that is, if I feel very good about my position, I'm okay with them. That's where they're coming from. They can say whatever they want. They've got their opinion. They're personally entitled to that opinion. And I first became aware of this kind of very early on in my Unity experience. And I worked for a couple of small business, and their son went to Liberty Bible College. It was very, very conservative. So he came in the office one day, and he was just really all excited and involved about something he was learning in class. And so he was sitting there, and he was telling me, and of course coming from a very different perspective than what I was, and I realized I was able to sit there and hear him, hear his joy in what he was learning with absolutely no need whatsoever to share a different opinion. I went, oh, okay, I found something that really, really works for me. So just in that process of defensiveness, and of course defensiveness always comes from the, you know, either taking it personally, making assumptions, and we usually take it personally because we've made an assumption. You know, so talk about being really wound up together there. You know, when we do something like this, it can sound very, very simplistic. You know, so we start off with be impeccable with your word. Don't take it personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best, you know. But are they simple? Are they simple? You know, what happens when you begin to actually practice this? So Bob shared, you know, he decided not to take something personally, so became aware. So first of all, that awareness. I am doing this. I now have a choice. I have a choice. And we begin to realize that no, these are not simplistic at all. They're simple, incredibly simple. But as we learn and grow, the simplest things are not always the easiest things. Simple and easy are not the same word. So we all know that in finding out about these things, you know, practice. How do we practice? Practice, practice, practice. And the more you practice, the more you begin to come into the depths of this process. And Jesus gave this wonderful example of practice when his disciples asked him about forgiveness. You know, and so they're struggling, they're learning, and you know, they figure, well, of course, you know, from our growing up as good Jews, we know that you're supposed to forgive people, but you do it once and that's enough, right? Well, they know Jesus, so probably he's going to want, you know, he's going to say, oh, no, once is not enough. You're going to have to do it 2 times. Well, they knew Jesus even better than that. He's probably going to say 3 times. But what did he really say? 70 times 7. And what does that mean? Does it mean, okay, I've done this 395 times, I still need to do it again? No, it means, because 7 is the number of completion. It really means do it until it's done. Do it until it's done. And if it's 70 times 7, 2 and 3 times over again, you keep doing it till it's done. You practice it till that process of forgiveness becomes the process of who you are. So when we talk about practice, when we talk about being impeccable, when we talk about not making assumptions, when we're not taking it personally, we practice it till it becomes that part of who we are. And when we get caught up in doing that, we become aware. We catch ourselves in that moment and say, what is going on with me? What am I wanting to hear here? What's the message? What has come up against that socialization that I was raised in? Those things that I take for granted. Those assumptions that actually help me to operate in this world very, very well. Because making assumptions gets us in trouble, But you know, we couldn't live in this world without making assumptions. You know, I assume when I get up in the morning that things are going to go well in my day, that, you know, as I drive to work, I'm making assumptions that basically people are going to be paying attention to the traffic rules. I also make assumptions that are going to save my life, but not everybody's going to obey those traffic rules, and so I don't jump out there when the light turns green. I make an assumption that somewhere along somebody's going to come 90 miles an hour trying to beat that red light, and guess what? It happens. But these assumptions help us to move through. What about our spiritual assumptions? How does that work? I make assumptions that this is a wonderful world that I live in. You know, that is my underlying assumption. That was not an assumption that I've had all my life, but it was an assumption that I have had now for many, many years. Does that mean nothing negative ever happens in my life? Absolutely not. Negative things happen to me. So how does this go with that assumption that I live in a wonderful world? Well, when something that I would label bad happens, I think, yeah, but there's something else going on here. What else is going on? What am I not paying attention to? What is this teaching me? And I've been blessed, there's not been anything in the way of tragedy that has happened in my life, but tragedy happens to other people that I know in Unity and New Thought. Okay, my assumption is I have people who know the truth that are also supporting me in this. I may not be in that place of being able to do it in this moment, but I know that I have that spiritual support. And I know that I have that God within me, that when I get to that place that I can hear it, that God will be supporting me. So that is an absolute wonderful and amazing assumption. However, as you are sitting out there, you know, and I'm talking from the depths and the truth of my heart, but should you be assuming that that is the truth for you? You know? And how would I do something other than assuming this is the truth for me? I have to practice it. I have to try it. I have to say, okay, you know, Carol's a pretty nice person and I like her, and it sounds like this is something worth trying, and I need to try it. I can't assume that she's right and this is going to work the way she told me for me. I have to take that personal responsibility of trying it myself. You know, I can't assume that not making assumptions is going to work for me. I need to pay attention. What are my assumptions? And what are the assumptions that I've made that put that sign up in front of me and say, oh, something's not right here. I'm being hurt. I'm feeling hurt. And change that. Not I'm being hurt, I'm feeling hurt. And so I can stop and maybe ask some questions. I can do some clarification. Because one of the things that we all assume is everybody sitting here in this room speaks the English language, and therefore we assume that the same word means the same thing to everybody sitting here. And is that the truth? Absolutely not. One of the real clear things that happened to me several years ago, I just moved to the South from Southern California, and I went to this very formal inauguration for the Eastern Star. Just very elaborate, very formal, not a place that children should be. And it drags on for an hour and a half, but lovely and smooth and stately. So at the end of all of this, the person who had been installed into the new office stands up and is graciously thanking people and then graciously apologizes for her ugly grandchildren who are sitting in the front row. There may be 6. So I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at these cute kids, you know, all dressed up. What? So, you know, everything comes to an end, and now I can talk. And I turned to my mother. I said, what was she doing? Why? They're as cute as they could be. And my mom looks at me, and she said, she wasn't referring to their look. She was referring to their behavior. You know, so in the South, ugly more frequently refers to behavior than it does to appearance. So, I mean, just when you begin to see little things like that, you begin to... Now, of course, here's one that if you've been in the South for any length of time that you know, bless your heart. Bless his heart. And it's really related to context, you know? So I can say, Judge Roy Moore, bless his heart. I can say, my friend who's in the hospital, oh, bless her heart. You know, so you listen. It's very much context. It has nothing to do with words. It has to do with context. Well, you know, that's true in so much of our communication. So we need to ask questions. We need to find out. And it gets our attention when it hurts us. People say, why do I have to learn things more, you know, from a hurting place? Because when everything's going smoothly, I might have made an assumption, but it didn't make any difference in the whole process. Everything worked out. So I didn't realize, I didn't know that I was assuming something that basically wasn't true. So we pay attention. So the assumptions in our personal relationships are the ones that can get us into most trouble. But even that, you know, there's that paradox, because I make assumptions about people who are close to me that they will support me at a time when it's difficult. I make assumptions make a big assumption about my daughter that she won't take it personally when I get tired and hungry and I'm being an ugly person. It's very nice to make that assumption that she'll say, Mom, are you tired? Are you not feeling good? Are you hungry? Whatever she might. So assumptions are this wonderful process to be aware of and to allow it to come into our understanding. So I went and looked to see, okay, what does the dictionary say about this process? So the dictionary defines the word assume as taking something for granted without proof. Well, I got thinking about, well, let me go and look up what the word belief, how is it defined